like taking care of a delicate garden. Seeking knowledge involves nurturing some parts of life best when done alone and away from people's eyes. This way of thinking tells us to value and guard our private experiences, since not everything should be shared with the public. Just like a flower needs to be left alone to grow at its own pace, our personal journeys need a safe place to be alone. In this video, we discuss 8 topics that should never be shared with the public. Number 1. Acts of charity and good deeds. In Islam, sadaqah, or acts of kindness, are very important, especially when they are done privately. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that the best kind of charity is that which is done in secret because it shows that the person really wants to please Allah and not get praise from other people. This idea is in line with the verse in the Quran that says, "If you reveal your sadaqah, it is good, but if you hide them and give them to the poor, it is better for you." Quran 2:271. Muslims are told in this teaching to do acts of kindness and charity without expecting anyone to notice. This is emphasized by the idea of sadaqah jariyah, which means ongoing giving. Whether we build a well, plant a tree, or teach others, these actions continue to help others long after we are gone, and we continue to reap the blessings in the hereafter, where no one can see us. By not telling anyone about our good deeds, we escape the problems that come with bragging and make sure that our intentions stay pure. This practice not only helps the people who receive it in a respectful way, but it also makes our own spiritual journey better. It tells us that the real value of our actions is not in the praise we get or the friends we make, but in the good things they bring. Number 2. Personal achievements. In order to be wise and humble, Islam tells us to be careful when talking about our own accomplishments. This is like what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said in a hadith. Actions are judged by intentions. No matter what we're doing, work, school, or personal, our successes should show how much faith and hard work we have, led by Allah's will. Sharing your accomplishments with everyone can sometimes make people feel proud and envious, which are both wrong in Islam. Surah Al-Hujurat 49:13 of the Quran tells us how important it is to be humble. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Remember that in Allah's eyes, true respect doesn't come from things you've done in this world, but from being good and religious. In line with Islamic beliefs, we should not tell everyone about our personal successes, and when we do, we should do so in a humble way. This way of thinking not only keeps us from being cocky and jealous, but it also keeps our minds on wanting Allah's pleasure instead of praise from other people. As we live our lives according to the rules of Islam, we keep the purity of our actions and goals by doing this. Number 3. Personal struggles and failures. It is very private in Islam to talk about your problems and mistakes, and it's often best to do so in the privacy of your own mind and heart. This is in line with what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught about being patient and strong when things go wrong, as shown in the hadith. The affairs of a believer are amazing. Everything in his life works out well for him. When good things happen, he is thankful, which is good. And when bad things happen, he is patient, which is also good. This point of view tells us to see our problems as chances to grow as people and as spiritually, instead of as public shows. We create an internal space where reflection and learning can thrive by keeping these difficulties secret. The Quran's Surah Ash-Shah 94:5-6 also supports this view. It says, "For indeed, with hardship will be ease." In fact, there will be ease with suffering. So in line with Islamic values, it is best to keep your problems and mistakes to yourself. Talking about them in public might not only lead to extra scrutiny or criticism, but it might also take our attention away from the self-reflection that is needed to solve these problems. Number 4. Family matters. In Islam, family life is very sacred and private. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, stressed how important it was to keep family honor and work out problems within the family system. This way of doing things comes from the verse in the Quran that says, "And those who protect the private parts of their lives." Quran 24-58. This shows how important family issues are to Muslims. Family problems, whether they are disagreements, successes, or personal struggles, are private things that should be handled and solved within the family. Talking about these things in public not only invades the privacy of family members, but it can also cause confusion and extra trouble. To follow the model of the Prophet, peace be upon him, who dealt with family problems in a very sensitive and private way, Islam says to deal with problems in your family with wisdom, discretion, and compassion. We protect the honor and respect of our family by keeping family issues private. It creates a safe space where family members can talk freely and know that their privacy is respected. This practice builds trust, makes family ties stronger, and follows the Islamic concept of privacy for each person and their family. Number 5. Financial status. In Islam, people are expected to be careful when talking about their money, whether they are rich or poor. Wealth is a gift from Allah, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that people should be humble and responsible with it. This point of view is in line with the verse in the Quran that says, "And when you give your zakat, do so discreetly." Quran 2271. This verse stresses how important it is to keep financial issues private. Talking about your money problems in public can make people feel sorry for you or envious. Talking about your money problems can make people feel pity or shame. Instead, Islam urges people to keep their money private. One clear example of this is the practice of zakat, which means obligatory charity. This gift is given quietly to protect the recipient's honor and the giver's modesty. By keeping our money under the radar, we follow the lessons of Islam and make sure that our money matters are for Allah's pleasure and not to cause arguments or personal pride. Number 6. Others' faults and shortcomings. Talking about other people's flaws and problems is a very important thing in Islam. This is in line with the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who stressed respect and dignity for everyone. Surah Al-Hujurat of the Quran supports this idea even more. O you who have believed, avoid much negative assumption. Indeed, some assumption is sin. Quran 49-12. This verse stresses how important it is not to judge or talk about other people. Bringing attention to other people's flaws can lead to backbiting and gossip, which are both very bad in Islam. These acts can hurt relationships, spread bad vibes, and make the community less peaceful. Instead, Islam tells Muslims to focus on their own deeds and ways to get better, which helps people respect and understand each other. Muslims develop a character of tolerance and understanding by choosing not to talk about other people's flaws. This practice not only supports the Islamic value of respecting other people's worth, but it also helps people develop a kind and understanding attitude. It tells us that everyone has their own problems and struggles, and that it's better to help and support someone than to criticize them. This method fits with the Islamic idea of helping others get better while letting them keep their own dignity and respect. Number 7. Personal spiritual practices. In Islam, worship must be done with integrity, and some acts of devotion should be kept secret. This is in line with what the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught. He stressed the value of ikhlas, or sincerity, in all worship. So whoever hopes to meet his Lord, let him do good deeds and not join with anyone else in worshipping his Lord. Quran 18:110, which shows how important it is to be truly devoted. Showing off your spiritual habits can lead to riya, which means doing religious things to get attention from other people. This is a small form of shirk, which means connecting other people with Allah, and it makes prayer less pure. Muslims are told to focus on the quality of their service instead of trying to get other people to like or praise them. Muslims protect the core of their faith by keeping their personal spiritual practices secret. This makes sure that their prayer is only for Allah. This way of doing things helps you connect deeply and personally with Allah without the need for outside approval. Additionally, it makes worship more focused and genuine because there is no need to act for others. By doing these things, Muslims keep their spiritual path pure and make sure that their devotional acts truly show their faith and love for Allah. Number 8. Health issues. Personal health issues are private in Islam, which shows how much the religion values respecting and valuing each person. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that people should get medical help, but keep their illnesses a secret. This method protects people's privacy and is in line with the teaching in the Quran to be humble and lower your wing in humility to those who follow you. Quran 26:2-15. Talking about health problems with doctors and close family is important, but telling everyone else about them can cause worry or talk that isn't necessary. This choice is based on the Islamic concept of not putting too much stress on other people's lives unless it is necessary. If you talk about your health problems in public, it could violate your right to privacy and bring you unwanted attention. By keeping health issues private, Muslims respect each person's worth and follow the custom set by the prophets of being discreet about personal matters. This way of doing things makes for a polite community where people know their own limits and treat private information with care.